In today's Search News Central video, we're going to learn how to set up a basic Google Data Studio report to easily track and share information from Google Analytics. Hi, I'm Steve Gerenzer from Steam Driven Media. I was a late joiner to Google Data Studio. There are a ton of tools out there for generating reports. A lot of us do them by hand still, just using Excel spreadsheets. But there's always a place for having some automation in your reporting, especially when you're looking for something to generate a quick report for a C-level executive who just wants their favorite metrics and aren't really too concerned about metrics that actually make a difference. So we're going to start by going to datastudio.google.com and create a new report. Once you log in, you do have the opportunity to use one of the pre-made templates. But before we do that, it always makes sense to understand some of the basics. So if you run into trouble, you can work your way through them easily. So we're going to start a new report just by clicking on the blank. The first thing you're going to want to do is add a data source. If you have access to an awful lot of analytics page and AdWords and other sites, you may find that there's a ton of them already listed here on the right-hand side. In our case, since we're not real sure which one we want to use, and they all say Google Ads, or they all say filtered, or they all just say main, we want to go ahead and add our own data source to collect our data from. So we're going to click down here at the bottom, create new data source. And here's where you start to see some of the power of Google Data Studio. We have access to analytics, Google Ads, MySQL, YouTube Analytics, and then there are a ton of partner connectors that have been created. So you can pull from Adobe or AdRoll, even Facebook. So there's a lot of access available within here. But for our case, we're just going to go ahead and go to Google Analytics and click Select. This will open up your where you have access to. And we're just going to grab one at random. And we're going to go over here and click Connect. It'll take a few seconds for everything to load up, and then click Add to Report. Once you've added this data source to your report, we can now start building a basic report. We have a lot of options. We can do charts and graphs and scorecards, plain text. You can add images, backgrounds, whatever you would like to do to make your report look unique for you and your business. We're just going to work with just a plain white template and start from here. First thing we're going to want to do is add a basic scorecard. Scorecards are what you'll see in analytics that are just a simple number. We're going to go ahead and start here. And the default is always going to be sessions. This is not a bad thing to start with, because usually you want to know how many sessions have appeared in your last 30 days for Google Analytics. And that's great. So now we want to add our next scorecard. Going to go ahead and default to sessions again. Go ahead and just line this up for now just to make it a little easier to see. Over here on the right hand side, you can click on metric and just start typing in what metric you want to track. In our case, we're going to go ahead and type in bounce and click bounce rate. Got a nice 1.04% bounce rate at this website. Pretty happy with that on almost 3,000 visits. We can continue to add scorecards. We can add charts. We can add graphs. So now let's try adding a chart. In this case, let's add a device chart. And we'll use a pie chart. Everybody at the executive level likes a pie chart. We're going to go ahead and under Dimension, we're going to click Source again, and we're going to start typing in what we want to track. So we want device category. And it'll show you your percentages by default. Now that we have our pie chart here, go ahead and slide that over here. Let's add a simple bar graph. Go over here and grab the bar graph. And again, it's going to default to sessions, but let's go ahead and change this again to device category. And instead of sessions, let's do unique page views. And we're going to see here that on all of our page views, our desktop is second, tablets are way down, but mobile is very important on this website. Let's go ahead and scroll down a little further on our template here. And now we're going to go ahead and add a chart. I'll show you how to build a chart real quick. So we're going to add a table. Bring this down. Go ahead and spread that out. So our source and sessions. Let's not use source because that can get complicated. Let's break this down to our medium, which will tell us whether it's a search or paid or referral traffic. And we still have sessions here. But let's add another metric. Let's go ahead and add, let's say, bounce rate again, because that's easy to find. When it updates the chart. I'm going to go ahead and grab this and drag it over a little. We have our sessions and we have our bounce rate. We're going to go ahead and add a little more to this chart by clicking in the metric area. We're going to go ahead and let's add unique purchases. This will help us learn where all of our good sales are coming from. So here we are. We're only 3 or 4 minutes into the building of a report. We've already got a report that most executives care about. All they're going to see is how much traffic you've had, what your bounce rate is, and where it's coming from, and how many purchases you've had. We'll go ahead and clean this up a little bit because we don't have our titles or anything in here. So we're going to go ahead and add a text field, and we're going to simply call it an executive report. Drag that over here. And over here on the right hand side, now we have our text properties. We're going to go ahead and run that up to, oh, let's say a 36 point. Leave the font alone, but you can make it bold, italics, however you want to do that. And apparently Grammarly wants me to sign in, but we're going to turn that off. Sorry about that. And you can do the same for your titles for your bar graphs. Let's go ahead and add one of those real quick. We're going to call this traffic by device. And grab that. Maybe I should have left Grammarly turned on. Let's go ahead and make that a little bigger. 24. And like every other reporting tool or word processor, you can also copy and paste. So we're going to go ahead and grab this and drag that over there. Finally, now before we go ahead and finish, we want to add one more tool to this. We're going to go ahead and click this. This may not look like it, but it's a calendar. We're going to go ahead and add a date range option here. Go ahead and put that up here in the top right. Open that up a little bit. If you go over here on the right hand side, you can click Style. We're going to go ahead and make that just a little bigger. Now when you click View, you can select a date range. Let's go back to December 1st through January 31st. And we'll update with the stats for that date range. There is a known bug in Google Data Studio right now where even though you've set your date range, when you go to generate the PDF, it will only generate for the last 30 days. This makes it hard to use as a monthly reporting tool because you can't go in 5 days into the new month and get all of last month. You'll miss a few days at the beginning of the month because it only does the last 30 days when you print the reports. I know they're working on this and hopefully they'll get that resolved soon. So let's go back into the edit and we have our date range in here. Go ahead and top left, change the report title so you'll be able to find it later. And while we've used up a lot of space, we can always add more pages. So if we add a page on the top left, and now we can continue to add more fields. We can add links, we can add, as you can see in the drop down, basically anything you can think of that is in Google Analytics can be pulled into Data Studio with just a little bit of work. In a future video, we'll show you some more complex reporting options, and hopefully we'll be able to get you a little deeper into building your own reports instead of relying on what's available by default from Google. If you have any questions, please post a comment in the blog post and I'll do my best to answer them for you. Thanks for watching the video and have a great day.